1 year ago today, I released the prologue to my work-in-progress Danganronpa and Pokemon crossover fan game, Pokenronpa. A whole year up to that point had been spent writing the thing, polishing it, drawing all of the sprites, and coding it all into something workable. Back then, I didn't know what to expect from the release. Most likely, it was going to be a nothing burger on the internet. I was just some nobody who posted about webcomics on Blue Sky. Nobody really knew who I was. For all I knew, this project was going to be long forgotten and no one would care. It would just sit there with barely any content, art that was fine, not fantastic, and a sad, lonely Patreon that wouldn't get any attention. To put it bluntly, I sent it out there expecting the worst and hoping for something. 365 days later, and I could not have predicted just what would have happened. Every expectation I had was blown out of the water. You guys found the project, played it, shared it, commented, reviewed it, gave me feedback. This has genuinely been one of the most incredible years of my life, and I have to thank you all for your support. The website has been viewed over 2,500 times. Nearly 1,000 of you have played the game. We've gotten over 250 subscribers here on YouTube, over 300 followers on Blue Sky, over 20 of you have expressed interest in the Patreon, and some of you have even decided to support financially, which is crazy. Thank you so much. I know those numbers don't seem so high to you, but to me, they're way more than I ever expected them to be. And it just keeps going. We've gotten fan art from people like Foxboxxx, Plumphadoodle, Merlin, Shiny Luxray, and Jorgugas. Some of you have shared your own alternate universe takes on the cast. We've done several live streams where tons of you have come to hang out with me. Some of you even chat for hours before the stream even starts. There's even a fucking wiki in progress by Widden the Pea Shooter. The point is, the support that you guys have been giving me this past year has been nothing short of incredible. I'm so unbelievably thankful to each and every one of you who's come and supported the project in one way or another. Every day you motivate me and make me work as hard as I can to make this project the best it possibly can. Thank you all 1,000,000 times over. Now, it's been a long time since the prologue released, and I know you guys are starving for information on how Chapter 1 is going, but there's honestly a lot I want to get to as far as updates. So I've decided to make a whole video talking about all of Pokenronpa. In this video, you'll hear about the progress of the game, hear me address some common concerns about the project, an update to the art situation, as well as a few special announcements at the very end. Trust me, you'll want to stick to the end for a particularly exciting announcement. I've linked timecode so you can easily navigate around the video for convenience. However, I do think it's only fair that I start with the biggest question on everyone's mind. I might as well rip this band-aid off right away since I know everyone wants to know. When is the release date for Chapter 1 Daily Life? And I'm sorry to say that I don't have any definitive date yet. I know, you all have been waiting patiently for a year now. I've said it many times before, but it bears repeating that Chapter 1 is easily going to take the most work out of any chapter before it. This is the chapter where I'm going to have to figure out most of the stuff behind the scenes. How the menu will work, how the map will look, finalizing designs, everything. Simply put, this is where the majority of the work will go in this project, and I really appreciate your patience as I continue to work hard on it. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you all. That said, my New Year's resolution this year was to release Daily Life sometime this year, and based on the progress I've made so far, I do feel like we're on track to accomplish this. I also gave a softball release date in October earlier, so if you're really desperate for a date to cling on to, there you go. I can't promise anything, but I'll at least try. With all that being said, if you want more specifics as to where Chapter 1's progress is, you'll just have to tune in later in the video. I'll go into more detail then, but for now, let's move on to our first segment of the video. Since the prologue came out, there's been one pretty big central concern about the game that's come up, and I want to address it here. It turns out a lot of you experienced quite a bit of lag while playing the game. Videos freezing, audio getting delayed and repeating in on itself, and just generally a lot of issues. Okay. First of all, I'm sorry you experienced this. From the testing that I did on my really good gaming laptop, I didn't experience nearly the same level as has been consistently reported on. All I can say is that addressing the lag is going to be one of my biggest priorities for Chapter 1. As of now, I'm still unsure how to address it, but I also feel like I should provide a bit of background to explain myself here. First of all, why is Pokenronpa a browser game? There are a few reasons, but by far the biggest is accessibility. If the game was downloadable, there is a lot that suddenly becomes out of my control, namely operating operating system compatibility. Some of you might be playing on devices that aren't capable of running RPG Maker games. Or maybe it works differently depending on your operating system, which, as it turns out, is a legit problem. It turns out that RPG Maker MV Project specifically, which is the version of RPG Maker I have, by the way, is not available on more recent Mac OSs. So even if I wanted to make it playable on a Mac, I'd need RPG Maker MZ, which I don't even own, and then I'd somehow have to convert the entire project into an MZ game. Not to mention I'd then need to get familiar with RPG Maker MZ so that I could continue making the project. In other words, this would be an insane hassle for me to do just to make the game more accessible. By making Pokenronpa a browser game, it means that anyone who has access to a web browser can play the game. And that's really important to me. The second reason is that it seems to bypass an issue that I seem to be having locally, which is these cutscenes randomly freezing on me. This never happens to me on browser, but nearly half the time at home, my game freezes on me during a video cutscene. A big thing for me moving forward is to use as few videos and moving images in the game as possible, as it seems to be a large source of lag on browser too. But hey, at least the game doesn't freeze. Plus, there's also the problem that downloading the project might give you access to all the files of the game. Who knows, I might leave stuff in there that I don't mean for you to see, leading to potential spoilers. Also, by having the game be a browser game, it's locked into a certain resolution, which means that it won't look distorted if you try to full screen it. Which might be a negative, actually? I don't know, but it helps me when designing the game. Let me know if resolution is a problem for you at all. So those are just a few of many reasons the game is on browser. But as we know now, there is a huge caveat to all this. The lag is pretty unbearable to my understanding. It basically relies on your computer's ability to handle playing video games on a browser, something that is not typically equipped to handle that. There are probably many optimizations I could do to make the game less intense on the computer, but I'm really worried about taking too many shortcuts. This project is ambitious, and I want it to remain ambitious. I don't want to have to lower the quality of the game at all. I know those are probably counterintuitive, but I believe in my vision, and I want to see it through. So this is another case of me asking for help. If any of you are or know someone who's particularly capable of handling RPG Maker projects on browser and optimizing/minimizing lag, please let me know. I want to do everything I can to get this out, because honestly, nothing is likelier to kill this project than it becoming too big for your computers to handle playing. I want to avoid that at all costs. With all that being said, I'm not against the idea of making the game downloadable. So what's probably going to happen in future releases is the option to either play the game on browser or download the game to your device. That way, if your operating system isn't compatible with the game, you still have the option to play it on browser, even if it comes with tons and tons of lag. Another concern I will probably need to think about is save data. Honestly, I have no idea how this will work when I update the game. The good news is, considering only the prologue is out, Chapter 1 won't have any problems. If it deletes your save data, then you don't lose anything regardless. And I'll include a skip to Chapter 1 so that you don't have to replay the prologue. But after that, it starts to become an issue, especially when I start to include free time events. I don't want to have to worry about you losing your free time event progress. Ultimately, that's future Forest's problem, so you won't have to worry about that for now. In any case, let's move on to our next topic for today. And oh baby, have I been looking forward to this one. I have been waiting for months to talk about this because it's genuinely just that exciting. Folks, it's finally time to update you all on the art situation. 1 year ago, I made this video, basically lambasting my own artwork and pleading that someone take over the artwork of the project. Look, I even clickbaited rage bait against myself. This video wound up getting a lot of responses, a large portion of them being pretty supportive and reassuring, telling me not to be so hard on myself and how my art wasn't actually as bad as I was making it out to be. Which, thanks? I really did work hard on this artwork to try my best to make it passable. Considering how I've never really done any form of artwork before this project began, I'm pretty happy with the results. But I also think a lot of you kinda missed the point. I wasn't trying to shit all over my art or garner sympathy. The point was just to say that I felt the artwork was best left in more experienced hands. The dream was for this game to look high quality, and it wouldn't ever accomplish that with my lack of artistic precision. Plus, I honestly just didn't want to draw the artwork anymore. So at the end of the video, I announced that I was looking for someone to officially replace the artwork of Pokenronpa. Like I said before, I wasn't expecting much in response. Maybe a few excited up-and-coming artists wanting to contribute, or maybe none at all. But I can say with full honesty that I wasn't expecting so many people to offer their work and talent. It was genuinely really heartwarming to see so many people invested in my silly little vision, and offering for a chance to bring it to life in a way I've always dreamed about. This process was not easy, and I'm really sorry to anyone that I had to turn down for one reason or another. But in the end, I found a candidate who I was very impressed by, and whose demonstration demonstration of the characters felt so much like my original vision for the game. I have been so excited to finally announce this for months, but the time is finally here. Allow me to introduce you to Karma! Karma, or Karminit if you prefer, has graciously taken on the role of our portrait artist for Pokenronpa, and as you can see, they're incredibly talented. Karma actually reached out to me during a live stream I did working on Chapter 1. Crazy to think that that one decision has led to this future of the game looking incredibly bright. After a few back and forth emails, it was clear to me that Karma had a clear understanding of the style and posing I was aiming for with this game. It was very exciting to bring them on board. But as you certainly know, taking on the task of replacing hundreds of portraits is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. I want to give Karma the time and space to work at their own pace, so most likely the portraits will not be ready for the time Chapter 1 releases. Instead, I'll continue to draw the portrait art until Karma's work catches up with the chapter to be released. Once that happens, any future releases will have their work, not mine. But there is one thing that will be ready for Chapter 1, and that's Auron's face portraits. You know these things that pop up when Auron speaks? Karma's also handling the redraw of these, and they're already ready to go for Chapter 1's release. So right away, there's something to look forward to. Right now, Karma's working on all the portraits included during the prologue. So once all of those are done, I'll re-release the prologue with their artwork so that you can get a taste of their work before it catches up to the main game. But if you want to support them directly, I've included links to their Twitter and Tumblr below. And of course, you can support their progress by joining the $2 tier or above on Patreon. That's where you can see their work in progress art, as well as any completed portraits they make right when they're completed. It's a good place to show your appreciation as well. I'm sure they'd love to hear it. Plus, as you know, the Patreon is quite literally paying for Karma's work. So by joining the Patreon, you are directly supporting all of the artists working on Pokenronpa. Wait, did I just say all of the artists? That's right, there's more! As I've also brought in the wonderful ErmineLeader to be our sprite artist. As you know, I've been using the official sprite art of the Mystery Dungeon Explorers Pokemon for the first 4 generations of Pokemon, and some fan sprite artists for the rest. But that changes soon. With ErmineLeader, each of the shinies are going to get revamped sprite sheets, overall giving them much cleaner looking sprites meant for RPGMaker. Before, I had to make some adjustments to create walk cycles and neutral poses for the cast, and a lot of it doesn't look great. But now, the characters will look so much better. And even better, there will be a few specific sprites for scenarios in Pokenronpa. For example, Rudy's running animation, Hina swimming, Karalty and Naga flying, and Mew in a psychic bubble. Just like with Karma's portraits, these might not all be fully available on Chapter 1's release, so please be patient as we work to get them all set. But as before, you can catch up on any progress on the Patreon. You can also follow her on DeviantArt or YouTube if you want to support her otherwise. Links will be in the description. What about gallery images? Well, for that, I brought in the wonderful Bravolution to redo this drawing for me, which by the way is one of the dumbest things I've ever created. God, I'm glad that it's gone. Instead, look at this beauty! I absolutely love the cartoony expressions that Naga has, and how unbothered Ember is by the whole thing. It looks amazing, and I'm sure this isn't the last you'll see of Bravolution's gallery images in the project. But, as you know, images like this take a lot of work. So if you want to make sure that gallery images like these stay prominent in the game, make sure to join the Patreon. And if you want to support Bravolution personally, a link to their YouTube and their Instagram will be in the description. But wait, there's more! Yeah, like I said, a lot of talented people are interested in helping out with the project, and I wanted to find places where people could be included. For example, you've probably already seen it, but Pokenronpa has a new itch.io logo. Made by AuraXalaiv, this logo is just so perfect. And I'm happy this is what people are seeing on itch.io to find my game. Then there's Dishheart, who's offered to redraw each of the cast members for the intro video. That's right, the intro video is getting a revamp, and the artwork of the cast is going to look so much better. In a way, these portraits are kind of like the official artwork of the cast, so that's pretty damn exciting. Finally, there's Foxboxxx, who, if you've been following by Blue Sky, has been posting incredible fan art of the cast, including what their deaths and executions could look like. I partnered with them to create a few images in the intro scene for the prologue in the form of gallery images. Once Chapter 1 is released, these images will be added to the prologue, meaning if you are interested in replaying the prologue once Chapter 1 comes out, you'll be able to see these images for yourself right away. And of course, links to all 3 of these incredible artists are in the description if you want to follow them beyond the game. But of course, joining the Patreon is another great way to support them as well. Having real artists come and support my project has been nothing short of incredible. It's honestly a dream come true in so many ways. This project has always existed in this sort of vague place in my mind, and to see it come to life in a way I've always dreamed is just so gratifying. Thank you, truly, to all of the artists that have come on board. This project would not be possible without your support. Soon, this project is going to look so much better, and I really hope that you guys are just as excited about this as I am, and I further hope that you're all willing to be patient. Artwork takes time and can be a major drain on mental fortitude, so I want to give these artists the time they need to complete their work. Feel free to leave some positive messages in the Patreon. So, am I done? Do I have every remaining artwork need filled for the game at this point? Well, almost, but not really. Most of the character-related work is filled at this point, but there's always more I could use. For example, one place I'm still in dire need of right now is a sprite artist that focuses on tilesets and objects. Most of what I'm using is either the default tilesets that come with RPGMaker or random sprite sheets I see online. So having someone specialize them for Pokenronpa would be nice. And if you want to draw the characters, there's always places you can help out. I could use new YouTube, Blue Sky, Patreon, or itch.io banners. My profile pics could be redone. You could draw thumbnails for YouTube or redo my Riolu character. The background of my itch.io website is a little generic. Images and objects found in game that pop up could have their own custom artwork. There are still so many ways that you can contribute artistically, so if you still want to contribute, I'm sure I can find a spot for you. If you're interested, reach out to me by emailing me at pokenronpagame@gmail.com. By the way, I'm only looking for people 18 and up. It just makes things less complicated when it comes to paying you, which, as one more reminder, is being funded through the Patreon. Speaking of which, let's quickly talk about the Patreon. Actually, I have one more thing to add regarding the art situation of Pokenronpa. Well, okay, maybe it's not actually art related. That's right, custom music is coming to Pokenronpa. One day, Sharky Wolf sent me an email offering to make custom music for the game. Truth be told, this caught me off guard. I genuinely wasn't expecting anyone to offer their musical talents to the game. I even teased my plans for the game's music before this. I was going to switch off the official Danganronpa soundtrack with each chapter progressing to the next game's soundtrack. But at the same time, custom music is pretty freaking awesome as well. So we're going to be incorporating Sharky's music into Chapter 1 as well. To what degree, I'm not sure yet. Most likely I'll be mixing and matching their music with the official Danganronpa OST until there's enough to have a full OST down the line. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Get it? Tuned. Anyways, let's actually talk about the Patreon now. Back when I first announced the Pokenronpa Patreon, I laid out the tier rewards for the project. Free members got polls and predictions, $1 members got shoutouts, $2 members have been getting daily updates, behind-the-scenes images, and livestream VODs, $5 members would get access to the character Q&A, and $20 members would get to playtest the game themselves every week. Predictably, no one has signed up for the $20 tier because none of you are insane. I made that tier so that people who are so desperate to play Chapter 1 would be able to get their hands on the game early, as well as be a part of the playtesting. I suspect no one will ever sign up for that tier. The other tiers, though, have been a lot more consistent. Special thanks, of course, to my patrons Froton, Seijin, Shiny Luxray, and Faye Nova for your support. Seijin especially has been abusing the hell out of the Q&As, and I've been really enjoying it. However, the one place where I feel I've been letting people down is the free tier. I promised you guys the opportunity to vote on predictions, your favorite characters, and important things that could change Pokenronpa outright. Well, we did have predictions and a favorite character poll. They just weren't Patreon exclusive. In fact, a majority of the results from the polls were from YouTube. I figured I'd initially give the polls to all my platforms since not many people had joined the Patreon, and I wanted the results to have a bit more data. The goal was to advertise that the polls were going to move to Patreon exclusively in the future. The problem was, I just ran out of things to poll about after favorite characters and predictions. So basically that perk was completely ignored. Also, let's quickly take a look at the results of these polls. Honestly, something just feels off. I'm not saying I don't trust you. For all I know, Selkie is your guys' favorite character. She's one of mine after all. But I also know that there's a few characters that my primary audience has been pretty vocal about liking, yet got snubbed early on in these polls. I'm starting to wonder if people who didn't know the channel just voted on their favorite Pokemon and moved on with their life. Plus, look at the predictions you made. 7 survivors? Either you guys are way more optimistic about this game than you should be, or these results are a bit off. So I've decided that we need a redo. Let's find out your favorite characters and hear your predictions for what's going to happen. And this time, we'll know for sure it's yours. These polls and predictions will be exclusive to Patreon, and all members will be allowed to vote, including free memberships. You don't have to pay any money to join the Patreon and vote in these polls. All you need to do is sign up for a Patreon account and hit the join button. It's completely free and without any hassle. Also, by joining the Patreon for free, you'll also get access to a few chat rooms. Yeah, that's right. I know a lot of you have been asking me for a Discord, and I've been hesitant for a few reasons. Well, my compromise is that we kinda sorta have one on Patreon already. And given some recent decisions made by Discord as of writing this, I feel better about my decision to not have one. But hey, if you want a place where you can chat with other Pokenronpa fans, post fan art, and talk about your theories for the game, now there's a place for you to do it. It's also the place where you're most likely to get me to respond. So that's the polls section of the free membership, but there's still one more perk I need to address. When you join the free membership, one perk I promised I'd give you were polls that could potentially influence the game itself. I wanted it to feel like by supporting the project, you'd get to feel like your voice is heard somehow. And honestly, this is a perk I haven't delivered on so far. Either there hasn't been an opportunity of any kind of influential vote yet, or if there was, I just kind of made a decision on my own. So I think we're long overdue for one of these votes. And guess what? I have one ready to go. Everyone, it's time for the first major game-changing vote. And I think you're gonna like it. Please take a look. That's right, everyone. It's time to decide once and for all, should Pokenronpa get a subtitle? This is a question I was honestly not expecting to ever consider until recently. To me, starting and ending the project with just Pokenronpa always felt right. It's short, it's succinct, and to my knowledge, no one else had ever done something like that before. Well, okay, since making that the title of the project, I have discovered a few other Pokenronpas with that name, but most of them either seem to be concept only or abandoned. Either way, I always felt like that was the name I was going to stick with to the end. But now, things have changed. I'm starting to realize the benefits of having a subtitle. Outside of a few of you being curious about me adding one, the main benefit to me is discoverability. Pokenronpa has been misspelled quite a few times by now, but by adding a subtitle, it makes it very clear whose project you're referring to. It's clearer to acronymize, it stands out from the rest, and perhaps best of all, it brings an identity to the game. A subtitle also allows me to give a bit of a subtle hint to the game's overall theme that Pokenronpa doesn't. So there's absolutely good reason to do so. But I don't know, maybe some of you like it short and sweet. So here's how the voting will work. I will put up a poll that is exclusive to Patreon members. Again, free members are allowed to vote. This is not going to be behind a paywall. This vote will be a simple yes or no. Should Pokenronpa have a subtitle? Notably, this is not a vote about what the subtitle should be. This is just a vote to determine whether we add one or not. Should that pass, we then move on to suggestions. And for this one, I will open up the floor to both Patreon members as well as all my other social medias. Make sure to upvote and like all the posts that you agree with. I'll, of course, be brainstorming my own ideas and posting a few of them. So feel free to let me know if you like my suggestions as well. After all of that, I'll take a few of my favorites as well as some of yours and put up a patron vote with 25 of my favorite options. You'll be able to choose as many of the options as you like. This isn't a competition, it's a conversation. And again, this will be for all members of Patreon, including all of you who signed up for free. Now, I do have to be very clear about something. The subtitle with the most votes on this poll is not guaranteed to be the subtitle of Pokenronpa. At the end of the day, I will make this final decision myself. I'm the director and the creator of this project, so if the winning subtitle isn't something I'm vibing with personally, I don't want it to be the core subtitle of my project forevermore. Besides, the subtitle is meant to be taken seriously. If I just let the top answer be the subtitle with no questions asked, a joke answer could wind up winning. The point of the poll is to know where your heads are at and what some of your favorite options are. There's very little chance that the subtitle is something that has no support, for example. But at the end of the day, this is all hypothetical. We need to decide if there even will be a subtitle first. If we do wind up with a subtitle, then it will be revealed on the day of Chapter 1 Daily Life's reveal trailer. Meaning you'll have some suspense leading up to the vote itself. I figured that would be a fun cherry on top, and something else to look forward to when the update finally drops. Though I can't guarantee I'll have all the artwork and official stuff changed by then. That might be a bit of a slower process, but I'll make sure it's in there eventually. That's all the updates I have for the Patreon. I really do hope that you all take a chance to enjoy the incredible community that we have here while supporting the amazing artists as well. With that being said, let's move on to our next topic of the day. And this one, I think a lot of people are interested in hearing. I'm sure this is the thing most of you probably want to know most of all. Even if I can't provide a release date as of now, you probably still want to know how Chapter 1 is going. Some of you probably know a lot of this already. Back in January and February, I live streamed several sessions working on the game in RPGMaker, showing off a scene that was both massive and technically optional. You'll understand what I mean when the chapter releases. During those streams, I talked a lot about how Chapter 1 was going, but for those who missed them, allow me to recap the state of Chapter 1 as of now. I always split my work into two types, writing and RPGMaker. So I'll give you my progress on each individually. Starting with writing, the rough draft of Chapter 1's daily life is done. In fact, it's been done for a few months now. You guys want to hear a word count? Because it's going to be insane. as of writing this, Chapter 1 has around 120,000 words. Hopefully you guys understand why this chapter is taking so long now. Since finishing the rough draft, I've been rereading the script and making tons of revisions to make the whole thing significantly better, even going as far as to completely rewrite entire scenes. So even if the rough draft is done, there's still a lot more writing to go. But it's close. With that being said, there is a major caveat that I think people will hopefully understand. Chapter 1 Daily Life, when it releases, will most likely not have free time events ready to go upon release. In fact, I haven't actually started writing those yet. Some of you might be disappointed, but I think you understand, since if I were to include those before releasing Daily Life, it only delays things even further. Since Chapter 1 is likely going to be the longest to make out of any chapter in the game, I suspect you all will be fine with some optional bonus content being saved for later. The plan is to work on those in between when the writing is finalized for Daily Life and Chapter 1's release. So who knows, I might be able to squeeze a few of them in there later. Once they are done and ready to go, I'll update the game and let you all know that they're ready. Speaking of those free time events, I'm also planning on doing special free time events that are time specific. Sometimes, because of motives or changing character dynamics, characters will not be able to talk to each other without the context of everything else around the killing game. So as a result, some free time events will be limited to certain times during the game, with as few as one possible times to go see them. All of this depends on whether I can actually get any of those interactions into the game proper. Honestly, that's kind of everything I want to go over with the writing. Just know that I'm still working on revisions, and hopefully I'll have a full, complete script ready to go soon. Next up, let's talk about where the work on RPGMaker is as of now. As of late February, we're actually pretty close to halfway in the script being in the game to some degree. There's been some changes to the script since I started coding, so there's some backtracking to do, but that's gonna happen anyways when I get to fixing bugs. I also feel fairly confident that most of the hard stuff about the game is dealt with, probably. Things that aren't dealt with are things like lag reduction, as well as the menu stuff. A good example is the map, which I still need to iron out. It looks kinda bad right now. I'm still trying to figure out how it should look, and I keep changing my mind. There's also the character portraits and what should be revealed in those. Should they change depending on how much you interact with a character during free time? Should they reveal the Pokemon moves they all know, or would that ruin potential twists during trials? These are things I should absolutely figure out soon, but luckily aren't much effort. There's also smaller things that you likely won't notice, but are important to think about for me. For example, should these sparkly things disappear the moment you interact with them? Should I make the player visible behind these speech bubbles? Should I change the door in which you exit from the rec room? Should I fade out after exiting a room and give a bit of extra time, or should I just let the next map load naturally? There's a lot to think about. Nonetheless, I feel fairly confident in saying that I am over halfway done with Chapter 1 in the RPGMaker department. The scene I live streamed was one of the biggest blockers, so getting that out of the way in a month was a huge help. From here on, it's largely just story to work on, which means it should be fairly straightforward for the rest of the game what happens. But then again, who knows? A lot can happen going forward. Something I will say, similarly to the lack of free time events in the first release of Chapter 1, the game will also be lacking in the types of interactable objects in daily life. If I tried to give a piece of dialogue to every tiny thing you see in the map, then make them change the dialogue depending on when you interact with them in-game, that would just take ages and would not be fun to test. There's a good chance that most of these will come in later chapters when less fundamental stuff needs to be figured out first, so this is most likely going to be a temporary thing. But also, I'm sure you understand. I'm guessing you'd all prefer the chapter to release earlier rather than delayed thanks to all these tiny, small things that you probably won't care enough to wait for anyways. Nonetheless, that's about all I have to say regarding the game's progress up to this point. I feel comfortable in saying we're over halfway there to getting this chapter out to you all. I know it's been a while, but progress is being made even if you aren't always seeing it. I just hope that once the chapter finally delivers, you'll be satisfied with what I've done so far, and that you'll be able to wait the extra time for Deadly Life, which I can assure you will be worth the wait. As part of the $2 and $5 tiers for Patreon, I promise that you guys will get early access to the game. I quickly want to talk about what that means. When I finally set a release date for Chapter 1, I'll release a teaser trailer exactly 1 month from that date. This will mean that $5 patrons will have access to the chapter on the same day that the trailer releases. Then, 1 week from the release of Chapter 1, $2 patrons will be given access as well. What this access looks like, I'm not sure yet. I believe it'll be its own private copy of the chapter that you will need a password to access. Which now brings me to the not fun part of this. Patrons, please do not share this password or the private link to the public when you get access. This would be incredibly disrespectful, not only to me, but to the artist whose work is being funded through your access. Early access to the game is a perk, not a requirement. The game will be available to play for free on a set date. so if people are asking for a link, just remind them that they'll be able to play eventually. I only say this because I know there are a few Discord servers out there talking about the game. I just want to make it clear where my boundaries are. Of course, if you really wanted to, you could just become a patron on the day of the trailer's release. I can't exactly stop you there. So yeah, that about wraps up everything I wanted to cover in today's Direct. I, again, apologize for how long the game is taking to make. Ultimately, I'm doing everything I can to make a product that is both quality and fun, and I can only dedicate so much time in my life considering I work in an office full-time and go on many real-life escapades. Nonetheless, I'm still just as committed to this project as I was a year ago. Someday, somehow, this project will release, and I really hope that you all are excited to see it come together. But hold on to your horses, everyone, because I have one last announcement to share. Yeah, that's right. This wouldn't be a Nintendo Direct parody without one big grand finale, right? I've saved my most exciting announcement for last, so everyone, please take a look. That's right, the characters of Pokenronpa are officially getting accessories. No longer is the cast simply shiny Pokemon. Now we've officially hit my OC, do not steal territory. Giving the cast accessories was always something I've thought about for the longest time, but never wanted to do myself because, well, art is hard. But the moment that Karma was brought onto the project, we immediately began discussing accessories. It always just felt nice knowing that these characters could actually be characters, you know? We've been working on these designs so much, and to be honest, we're still not fully locked in. If these designs change last minute, you'll know. But for now, these will be the designs that we're going with. I'm really proud of how they turned out, to be honest. Also, yes, as you can tell, most of this is my work. Like I said earlier, Karma's work is more meticulous than my pixel art, so even though I'm not the best artist, I'm still gonna do my best to translate their accessories by myself until their work is ready to replace mine. Yes, I'm back on the art grind. If you want to keep up with my art progress as I continue drawing the cast and their accessories, follow me on Blue Sky, and I also have a DeviantArt that I'll be posting too. So make sure to keep an eye out. As far as how this will work in-universe, Chapter 1 will have the cast with their accessories in-universe right away. It's just they may not mention it right away. I've written a ton of stuff before we started working on these accessories, so unless there's anything quick I can add during a revision, the accessories will be pretty much ignored in-universe. But they will be a factor in things going forward, perhaps even being a part of an eventual case? You never know! That said, eventually I will go back and write more references to their accessories into the prologue and Chapter 1 where appropriate. But for now, they're mostly a signal for what's to come going forward. As always, fan art is totally appreciated, and I'd love to see as much of it as possible. Hope you have fun with their new designs. I'm sure you'll have a blast with them. Anyways, that is the last announcement of the Direct. With that, I officially bring this video to a close. I really have to thank you all so much for your support over this past year. It has meant the world to me knowing I have a community of active and invested players hoping to see my story come to life. My only hope is that I won't let you down. Thank you all so much for watching this video and for being a Pokenronpa fan. Hope to see you all in Chapter 1. Bye everyone.